Hello BookTube, my name is Adrienne and welcome back to my channel. So we are fast approaching the end of the year, and for that reason I decided I wanted to go ahead and make some favorites videos. Now these videos are not necessarily my favorite books of 2017 because this is the first year I've ever had a YouTube channel. So for this year I'm going to tell you my all-time favorite books ever. But in this one I have my favorite standalone novels, and assuming I continue to do this YouTube channel for the foreseeable future, which I plan to, I hope to, this time next year, do a video of my favorite standalones of, 2018 and so on. So these books are my favorite standalones that I have read ever. Not all of them I read this year. There are a few on this list that I did read for the first time this year. 6 of them I actually read for the first time this year, and that's 6 out of 11 books, so that's pretty good. Like I said, these are my all-time favorite standalones, and next year hopefully I will add some more to this list that you will be able to see. All of these novels that I'm about to talk about I gave 5 out of 5 stars, and so I'm just going to give you a really brief synopsis and then maybe tell you why I loved it. We will see. But I definitely loved all of these novels, and I can't wait to tell you about them. So the first one I have for you I do not yet own a physical copy of, and I really need to get one because it's probably my all-time favorite book of this year, and that is The Names They Gave Us by Emery Lord. This book is about a Christian girl whose mom is diagnosed with cancer for the 2nd time, and after her mom is diagnosed with cancer, her mom requests that she go to a summer camp and be a counselor for kids, basically a camp for troubled youth, which isn't a great representation of the story, but she doesn't want to because every year she goes to help a summer camp with her parents, a Christian summer camp with her parents, but because it's her mom's request she decides to go, and she meets a whole group of diverse people and kind of has to come to terms with what's going on and how to grieve, and kind of her coming to realize her own relationship with God. And it was a beautiful, beautiful novel, and as a Christian person, I would absolutely recommend you read this book. Just for the last 2 pages of the book alone are beautiful, and I love, love, love this book. Like, I kind of want to get like a painting of my favorite quote from the last page, which I'm not going to tell you that quote because it might spoil the book, but it was fabulous and I love everything about this book, so absolutely pick this one up if you haven't. The next book I have to show you is actually not just this book but an author, and I talk about this author all the time, so you might not be surprised to hear that that is Casey West, and this is her book Fill-In Boyfriend. This is probably one of my 2 favorite Casey West books. It's tied between this one and her newest release Lucky in Love, which I don't have a physical copy of yet, but this book is my favorite because it is basically all fluff. Like, there isn't a whole lot about this book that is hard hitting. It's very silly. It's a very silly, cute book, and I love that about it. So this book is about the main character. Her boyfriend dumps her in the parking lot outside her school right before they're about to go in to prom, and none of her friends have met her boyfriend yet, and all of her friends seem to think that he isn't real, that she's making up this boy. And so she, in a panic, finds a boy sitting in his car reading at prom and asks him to be her fill-in boyfriend. She asks him to pretend to be her boyfriend and try and trick her friends into believing this. And of course things spiral out of control, and It's just a great book. I really love it. Like I said, there's nothing super serious about this book, but it was great. And so I definitely recommend this one and all of Casey West's books. Most of our other books have a more serious topic to go along with the cute, but this one is mostly just cute. The next book I have for you guys is Magnolia by Christy Cook. I read this book earlier this year and absolutely loved it. This book is about Gemma and Ryder, who are neighbors in Mississippi, and their families have been best friends since the Civil War. And their families have kind of been longing to combine their family trees since then, and it's never worked out. There have never been individuals of opposite genders born to the family. Throughout all those generations, there was never a chance for them to potentially come together in marriage, and then Gemma and Ryder are born, and they are kind of forced into trying being friends when they were young, and as a result, Gemma and Ryder hate each other. They just do not like each other at all and have no interest in dating and getting married and anything. And then one day they end up trapped together during a huge storm, and things kind of seem to start to change. I loved this book. It was so good. It's very cute. There's lots of stuff going on dealing with misunderstandings. There is one thing that kind of rubbed me a little bit wrong, but it was dealt with in a way that it didn't take away from my love of this story. So absolutely love this book. Absolutely recommend it. The next book I have is Words in Deep Blue by Kath Crowley. This was a book that I got an ARC of, and I am very grateful for this ARC, and I absolutely love this book as well. This book is kind of hard to explain, so I'm just going to read you the synopsis on the back because I don't think I can do a better job of describing it to you. Years ago, Rachel had a crush on Henry Jones. One day before she moved away, she tucked a love letter in his favorite book in his family's bookshop. She waited, but Henry never came. Now Rachel has returned to the city and to the bookshop to work alongside the boy she'd rather not see, if at all possible, for the rest of her life. But Rachel needs the distraction and the escape. Her brother drowned months ago, and she can't feel anything more. She can't see her future. Henry's future isn't looking too promising either. His girlfriend dumped him, the bookstore is slipping away, and his family is breaking apart. As Henry and Rachel work side by side, surrounded by books, watching love stories unfold, exchanging letters between the pages, they find hope in each other, because life may be uncontrollable, even unbearable sometimes, but it's possible that words and love and second chances are enough. I absolutely loved this book. It handled the topic of grieving a loved one's passing in a way that I have never seen done before in a novel. And I really liked it because it felt very real to me. So I absolutely recommend this book if you haven't read it. Up next, I have Blackmore by Julian Donaldson. This book is a historical fiction novel. This book is about our main character, Kate, who is determined that she does not want to get married because she knows she cannot marry the man she actually wants to marry. So since she can't marry him, she's just not going to get married and wants to travel with her aunt to India. Her mother, on the other hand, does not want that at all. She wants to marry her daughter off. This is set in 1820s, so obviously you want your daughter married off at this point. And so her mom makes her a deal. You can go to India, but first you have to secure and reject 3 marriage proposals over the course of the summer. So Kate is determined to do this, and she decides to find a loophole in her mother's wording and enlists her best childhood friend Henry into proposing to her 3 times over the course of the summer, and so that she can reject them all, because her mother did not say that it had to be 3 different proposals, it just had to be 3 proposals. Henry agrees, and obviously things don't go quite according to plan. Things get a little complicated. This book is labeled as a proper romance, and it absolutely was, and I absolutely loved it. It was a great book, and I think I'm gonna reread this book again because I loved it so much. Up next, I have Anna and the French Kiss by Stephanie Perkins. I also recommend the 2 books that are companions to these, Lola and the Boy Next Door and Isla and the Happily Ever After, but this one is probably my favorite of the 3. This book is about Anna, who goes to a boarding school in Paris and meets a group of friends and ends up falling for a boy who is taken. He's dating someone else. It was a very cute book. Some people have called this book out for emotional cheating, and looking back on it, I can see where they would say that. But it's still a very cute book and definitely lighthearted, and I absolutely love this one. Up next, I have the first of 2 books that will be on this list by this author, and that is Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. This book is about the main character, Cather, who is in her first semester of college, and she is a fan fiction writer. She writes fan fiction for Simon Snow, which is basically Harry Potter. But she is not just a fan fiction writer. She is one of the most popular fan fiction writers of this, novel. She has a huge fan base. Just about anybody who has read the Simon Snow novels knows her as her pen name, and she is determined to finish her fan fiction, which is the 8th book of the series, before the 8th book of the series comes out. And this book covers, her first semester of college, dealing with some family issues, learning to make new friends, dealing with life, and also being a, person in a fandom world. And I absolutely loved this book. I reread it again this year recently, and it was great, and I loved it, and it was beautiful, just like it was the first time I read it. So absolutely recommend this book. The other book I have by Rainbow Rowell is actually an adult novel, and that is Attachments. I really love this book. This book is about the main character, Lincoln, who gets a job as a night security individual, but his job is to read through the emails that have been flagged by the server. This book takes place over 1999 to 2000, so over the course of Y2K scare. And so this book follows Lincoln as he reads these emails that have been flagged by the server, and he is supposed to, once he has read it, declared it to be a non-issue, send out an email to the person who sent it saying, your email has been flagged, please refrain from doing blah 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 blah, whatever it was that they were flagged for. And he ends up reading these emails that are conversations between Beth and Jennifer, and he decides not to send them a warning, and through reading their emails he ends up falling in love with Beth. Obviously Beth has no idea who he is, and so things obviously kind of go a little haywire, and I just love this book. It's pretty short, and it's just a beautiful novel, and yeah, I definitely loved this book. Up next, I have Alex Approximately by Jen Bennett. This book follows the main character, Bailey, who is a classic film buff, and she has an online friendship with an individual who actually lives in the town where her father lives in California. Well, she ends up moving to that town in California and does not tell her online friend, that she moved. And so she decides that she is going to try and find him without him knowing that she's finding him, in hopes to, see if he's a creep or not. And if he's not, then she'll introduce herself, because she's kind of likes him. This is not a spoiler because it is literally the last line in the thing. She ends up meeting this boy named Porter at her job, and Porter is this boy. Alex is his name online. Porter is Alex Approximately. And it's the story of Bailey and Porter figuring out that they are the person that they've been talking to. And it's great because neither of these characters know, but you as the reader know. And I just love that aspect, seeing them interact together and them not knowing. It's just a thing. I loved it. I love this book a lot. We are almost done with this list. The next book I have is The Siren by Kira Cass. This book is a little bit of magical realism or fantasy-esque novel. It is about Callan, who is a siren. The deal with sirens, if you do not know, is that their singing will lure ships to them to sink. Anyone who hears their voice immediately falls in love and is attracted to them and basically kills themselves and wreck ships. So Callan is a siren. And the deal with a siren is that the ocean literally like convinces these girls to be sirens, and the deal is you serve the ocean as a siren for... Oh no. Sorry guys, somebody decided she wanted to wake up. So I guess she's hanging out with me for the rest of this video. Anyway, you serve the ocean as a siren for approximately 100 years, I think. And then at the end of the 100 years, you go back to your human life and you lose all memories of being a siren. And you can go about your life as normal. Because they are sirens, these girls do not talk out loud, because if they talk and someone hears their voice, they are compelled to throw themselves into the ocean and kill themselves. And so they communicate with each other and they communicate with each other in sign language. And Callan one day meets a boy sitting when she is on a college campus. She doesn't talk to him, but he talks to her. And when he finds out that she, I guess, is mute, he, instead of deciding that it's not worth his time, he still wants to get to know her. And obviously, over time, this results in her falling in love with him. And some stuff happens from there. This novel was great. I was absolutely surprised by this novel, and yeah, definitely enjoyed this one. And the last novel I have to tell you about is Eliza and Her Monsters by Francesca Zappia. This book is about Eliza, who is the writer and creator of one of the biggest webcomics out there called Monstrous Sea. And nobody knows who she actually is. She publishes this novel under a screen name. And one day, this new boy moves into her school, and it turns out that he is the #1 fan fiction writer for her comic book that she writes. And he obviously has no idea who she is, and so she ends up starting a friendship and a relationship with him, and kind of dealing with that, as well as, you know, fandom in general and kind of some drama, as well as Eliza's anxiety. And I think this book handled the anxiety beautifully. It handled fandom in a beautiful way. I loved everything about this book. There were times I was reading this book and literally had to put it down just because I had read a line that I had said that exact I had said that exact sentence to people in my life before, and it was just beautiful. Absolutely a fabulous book, and I absolutely recommend that you pick it up if you have any connection to fandom. And I feel like if you're on BookTube, you probably do. That is all that I have for this video today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I try to post videos twice a week, always on Friday and then either on Tuesday or Wednesday. Obviously with this little one, I can't always get that done. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I hope that I will see you guys in another one. If you have read any of these books, I would love to hear your thoughts on them. So let me know in the comments down below about some of your favorite standalones, and maybe I will have to check them out as well. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.